Sup guys, welcome to Mad Mass. Today we're going to be doing a video about Paul Dillett. Paul Dillett was a Canadian bodybuilder who competed mostly in the 90s and early 2000s. He was really notable because he brought an unparalleled level of size and proportions that hadn't been seen up until that time and hasn't really been seen since then. So some of Paul Dillett's most notable placings were first place at the 1999 Night of Champions, first place at the 1994 German Grand Prix, first at the 1994 French Grand Prix, and first at the 1992 North American Championship. He competed at the Olympia 5 times during the 1990s. His best placing at the Olympia was in 1994, where he placed 4th. Because he was such a freaky bodybuilder and so much bigger than most of the guys he was competing with, a lot of people refer to him as the Uncrowned Mr. Olympia. So just looking at Dillett's physique, you can see obviously he's massive. Diving into his stats, he was 6 foot 2 inches tall, 285 pounds on stage, and 330 pounds in the off-season. 6 foot 2 is incredibly tall for a bodybuilder. Usually bodybuilding is more favorable to shorter guys. If you look at most Mr. Olympias, they're almost all under 6 feet. So it's because the taller you are, the more mass you have to put on to fill out your frame, which is more difficult. So that's why it's so impressive that he was such a full bodybuilder despite his height. I mean, weighing 285 pounds on stage in competition condition is insane. So diving into some of his poses, he had one of the best crucifix poses of all time. It really shows off his massive triceps and small waist and V-taper. His waist is small and his midsection is incredibly well controlled for a 285 pound bodybuilder. To see how impressive it is, let's compare him to Ronnie Coleman, another mass monster. If you look at Dillett's midsection, it is much better controlled than Coleman's. Although Ronnie Coleman is widely considered to be the greatest of all time and for good reason, there's no denying his midsection was a weak point. He kind of has a bit of distension in the gut, and the obliques are a little bloated. Compare that to Dillett, who has a really tight waist, and there's really nothing to criticize about his midsection. And another strong point for Dillett is his chest. He has these crazy veins going across his chest that you really don't see in any other bodybuilder. It's really a testament to his crazy conditioning. Dillett's insane vascularity was probably the result of pretty aggressive diuretic use. Diuretics make the body hold less water, which helps you get drier, more grainy, and more vascular. But they are not without risk. At the 1994 Arnold Classic, Dillett actually collapsed on stage from cramping up from dehydration. You can see pictures of him here being dragged off stage to the back and laid on a table, pretty much unconscious. So this shows how extreme diuretic use can really be dangerous and detrimental to the health. But the incident at the Arnold was by no means career-ending. And later that year, he went to the Olympia and actually made his best placing ever, placing 4th behind Dorian Yates, Sean Ray, and Kevin Levrone. Dillett really was a beast at the 1994 Olympia. Looking at the front double bicep, he's just massive. Look at the bicep peaks, the lats, everything is just big. And here you can see him in the front relaxed with insane vascularity and size. So despite the package he brought on stage, he only finished 4th, not even cracking the top 3. This is because there was an incredibly competitive lineup at that year's Olympia. In the top 6, you had Dorian Yates, Sean Ray, Kevin Levrone, Paul Dillett, Porter Cottrell, and Chris Cormier in that order. So looking at Dorian, it's pretty clear to see why he won. He came in super grainy and conditioned, and from the back, he was pretty much unbeatable. Look at the back double bicep here, the graininess, the Christmas tree. And also in the abs and thighs here, you can see that Yates had really good proportions in a well-controlled midsection for a mass monster. Not to mention, you also had Sean Ray and Kevin Levrone finishing 2nd and 3rd, looking phenomenal that year. Both of them arguably had much better conditioning than Dillett. You can see an insane amount of striations on Sean Ray, and this hand's classed most muscular. You can even see feathering in his quads, which you usually don't see in the most muscular. And Kevin Levrone is looking huge and full as usual. So I don't think you could realistically make the case for Dillett winning the Olympia that year. And that was the year he brought his best physique on stage. So he's not the uncrowned Mr. Olympia. But regardless of that, he'll still go down in history as one of the most freaky bodybuilders of all time. And he really was the first mass monster. People talk about Dorian Yates ushering in the era of the mass monster, but Paul Dillett was really the first bodybuilder to push the limits of the human body and show what was possible to achieve in terms of mass, setting the stage for the 2000s with Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Gunther Schlierkamp, and others. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, and we'll be back with more bodybuilding news and videos.